Hello everyone, welcome back to the Maya series. I think this is part 4 or 5, and today we're going to be talking about some more advanced application of curves. Last video we talked about how you can use curves and lofting to make some cool geometry, but today we're going to be talking about more like cylindrical things and how to make things like scrolls. But the reason I'm doing this intro a little bit differently than normal is because I originally started this video off making a bookshelf, and I realized I did not teach any new skills in that, so I want to make sure I streamline this as much as possible for you guys. I'm going to skip over that, and we're just going to go ahead and just get straight into curves. So buckle up, get ready, let's do this. But our table is looking a little bit barren. I think on our list we had making like a scroll and a candle. You always want to be thinking of light sources. Candlelight is amazing, and you can do a lot in Engine with that to make it actually flicker. So we're going to learn about a brand new tool. We're going to add all of this to our layer. So right click, add selected objects, V to get that out of the way, and we're going to make a candle. So go back to your curves menu that we talked about last episode, and we're going to go to our side view, and we're going to get in pretty close here. Go to your EP curve tool. So when using the curve tool, I like you guys to just kind of watch what I do and see how it works and then try and do it yourself. So I'm going to look for this black line because that is going to be what our thing revolves around. And then I'm just going to start clicking here and making some curves like this. I'm going to get a bit closer, actually. I want this to be a bit thinner. And then we can always adjust this stuff later on if we need to. But that's a pretty good start. I'm just going to go and move this control vertex down a bit. These ones up a little bit. Grab these, move them out, get the sort of silhouette that we want for our shape. And I kind of like that. So now we'll go ahead and grab it in object mode and then make sure it's by the center of your grid because that's the point that's going to revolve around. And then we're going to go to surfaces, click this box around here. Everything should be set correctly. The only thing you might have to mess with is your axis preset, but you'll see why in a second here. And then we need to always change our output geometry to polygons, quads, and then choose our quad count. Let's try 75 and see how it looks. But when I apply this, we have a candle base. It's a bit low poly right now, so I'm going to crank this to 300 and see how that looks. Look at that. We can try cranking it to 1000. Oh my gosh, that thing is beautiful. Look at that. Just like that, we got a candle. I bet you thought that was going to be difficult. Obviously, there's a little cleanup we want to do here. First off, it's pretty rough right here, but I can actually edit this directly by grabbing this curve and going into our control vertex mode, and I can still move all of these curves around. So if I decided that I want it to be a bit more subtle or closer together, I can still do that even after the shape is made. And now I kind of decide I want it to be a bit thinner in the middle and get wide at the top, and then maybe not have so much of a bump up top, but more like this instead. And then I'm gonna grab these, drag them out just a little bit like that. That's a pretty nice candle base. Obviously, it's 1000 polys. Obviously, we did not need to make it 1000 polys, but obviously we can reduce this amount. So we're just gonna go to our edge mode and grab like every other edge loop that we've made. Go all the way down the line and decide where we want extra geometry. So when there's major curves, like right here, I don't want to touch right here because there is a big curve happening. But right here where it's basically just a straight line, delete that. We can delete this more. We can grab these through here. Get rid of those, get rid of those. Really did not change much at all. And just make sure you're pressing Control and Delete so that gets rid of those vertices as well, so we don't create a bunch of n-gons. And maybe thin this out a little bit. Look at that. Candle base. 300 faces. We can reduce it more if we need to. I don't think it's really necessary, but you can if you want to. And then now we just want to fill this hole up here. And we'll do that by going into our edge mode, double clicking one of these edges on the side, and then clicking fill hole. And I'm just gonna bring it up a tiny bit. And yeah, that's pretty nice. Definitely too high poly still. That's okay. Always something you can mess with. But now we can go ahead and make our candle that's going to go on it by starting off with a cylinder, dragging it up. I actually think that we want this face. We're not going to fill a hole because that creates a humongous N-gon. We are going to press Control E to extrude, kind of bring that in a little bit with our scale tool. And then we'll do that. Extrude again, pull it down. Extrude again, go click your mesh tab, and then click merge to center. And now that gets rid of N-gons, and we can just grab these edges around here and bevel that. Pretty nice candle with somewhere for the wax to go. Let's go ahead and spawn in a cylinder and actually make the candle. Just move this pivot down, get our base shape together. So here is kind of our base candle shape, but also I'm realizing this thing is kind of a bit tall. I'm gonna make it shorter like that and then put our candle in. So here's what our candle looks like right now. Obviously does not look very waxy, but now we're gonna talk about Soft Select, which is an amazing tool that I use all the time, especially when you're making organic stuff. It saves so much time. We're gonna start by giving this thing a bunch of edge loops towards the top because we need some extra geometry for Soft Select to actually work correctly. And then I'm gonna grab these faces, press Control E, offset it in a little bit, and one more Control E to kind of make the spot where our wax is gonna flow. And then we can bevel this edge, make it feel a bit more waxy. Now it doesn't look great still, but now we're gonna go into our face mode and hit the letter B on your keyboard. And it is going to, you'll see this area of the faces you select are highlighted. This is because you've activated Soft Select mode. And what it allows you to do is make a selection and it kind of selects the things around it, but it doesn't move them as much. So to change your soft selection radius, you're just gonna hold B on your keyboard and then click and drag. So I can select literally everything, or I can select just a little bit. And when I move this around, you can see that all these faces are like kind of moving with the original faces that are selected, but not entirely. What we can do here is we can grab this candle and work on making it look like it's dripping and melting down to give it a little more fidelity. Make it feel more real, just like that. And that's why we made the extra geometry down through here, so that there's more polygons that can be moved around. So now that we've got something like that, I'm pretty satisfied, but I'm not all the way there. And this is because we've got a lot going on, but it still is pretty rigid. Now, I want you to select your object and press 3 on your keyboard. You will notice, oh my gosh, it's so nice and smooth now. So much more to work with. But this is not actually smoothing your model out. This is what is called Smooth Preview, and it is a way to show what your object will look like after you use the smooth tool, but without actually committing to creating the smooth yet. So we're gonna kind of do the soft select, trying to make it look waxy in our smooth tool, so we can see what the final product is gonna look like rather than just like the sneak peek that it's giving us. And we'll just mess around for a while, try and get what we want to happen. Get those drips, get that waxiness. Okay, so I'm kind of liking how it's looking now. You can mess with this as long as you want to, but you also have to realize this is a really small prop, and there's optimally going to be a flame on it, so you just need to figure out what your level of detail should be. We can click 1 to see what it looks like normally, and then while we're in our normal preview mode, go ahead, click your object, go to mesh, and then click smooth. And now it is completely smoothed out like that smooth operation was showing you. Real quick, we can give it a wick with another cylinder. Just like this. Take those faces at the bottom, get rid of those. Boom. Move that down, make it skinny. This thing is definitely too high poly, so we're gonna go ahead and delete some of this geometry in here, especially just for what it's meant to be. There we go. Then we'll grab these vertices at the top, shift them over a bit, make it seem more like it's set in the wax. And there, we have a pretty nice candle. Let's go ahead and check scale with everything. It might be a bit large, but we can go ahead and combine all of this together, drag it up, and then we'll set that pivot point to the very bottom so we can easily snap it to our table. And we can just make it smaller. There we go, candle. And this is obviously a very high poly candle right here. So that is because of the smooth operation. It creates a lot more geometry. There's a lot of ways you can reduce it. I've shown you reducing a ton of times. I'm not going to cover it again right now. One thing I might do, because I'm not entirely happy with how blocky this part looks, is I am going to do a smooth on this candle base. So if you want to go back and optimize your candle to the fullest extent, please do. But we're going to go ahead and move on to making something like a scroll. So our next concept I want to talk about is not everything in 3D space has to be a 3D object, or 3D as in like a cube or something. We can do a lot with planes. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make a scroll using lofting. So let's go ahead and make a scroll for our table here. So first up, I'm just going to go ahead and take all of this and make sure it's in our layer here, and then get rid of that. And then I'm going to go into my side view, go to our curves, and then make a sort of scroll looking thing. So I'm just gonna like do some loops. Something like that. I know it looks bad, but it will be better. We'll press enter to confirm that. And then we might take these control vertices for this flat part and just go ahead and scale them together to make sure that everything lays flat. And I'm gonna drag these and bring them down a bit. But now I can make a copy of this. Now that we have these duplicated, we can go ahead and grab both of them, go to surfaces, go to our loft settings. We'll set it at 1000 for now. I know it doesn't look great. But if we want to preview what it's going to look like, we can press 3 for smooth preview. And then I'm going to invert the faces by going to mesh display and reversing those, just so it's a little bit easier to look at right now. Delete my lines here. And now we have kind of a scroll. And we can go through these edges right here that we will not need and delete those. That way it doesn't make a ton of new geometry when we do our smooth operation. And so we have a much more flat thing. And then we don't need any of these along this axis. So we can just get rid of all of these in the middle here. Once again, always remember, control delete. That way we don't leave any vertices. And then we'll go back to our normal preview, press the smooth button. We can go up to like 2 divisions maybe, just to give this a bit more high definition. Go back through, delete these edges here, just like that. And now we have a scroll for our table. And if we want to make this scroll wider, All we need to do is go into our vertex mode and then move these vertices over. So we can make a really long scroll, we can make a small scroll, we can make a rolled up scroll, we can do whatever we want. I think I'm gonna go something around right here, bring that to our table, rotate that, bring it down, put it on our table here. It's a little bit uneven, but something like that. So we don't always have to model everything out super intricately. We can rely purely on planes. Everything is just a bunch of planes put together. Now I've pretty much covered every single tool that you are going to use when modeling for games. So what I want you guys to do is take some time and populate this table. I want you to make optimized assets ready to go in the game engine, just like we've been talking about, and populate the scene with whatever you want. I can sit here and model 100 things, but I'm trying to teach you guys as quick as I can and get you guys to making your own things as soon as I can. So I want you to be able to leave this video and have at least some things that you made entirely on your own. You guys should be so proud of yourself if you made it this far. And in our next video, we're finally going to be getting into UV mapping and texturing and how we go about doing that. If you're ready to learn about texturing and UV mapping, click this video right here. Otherwise, take some time, try and populate your scene as much as possible. For some reason, my camera keeps shutting off before I hit stop recording. But anyways, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.